was today years old when I got my hands on a copy of The Four Agreements. If you have not heard of this book by Don Miguel Ruiz, you are really, really missing out on something that can definitely change your life. So if you want to hear more about the book and my viewpoints on it, keep watching. All right, first, let me get my glasses on. Let me get my glasses on. So, you guys, you have no idea how excited I am about reading The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. My life has been impacted so that I could not keep it to myself. Like, literally, this book has inspired me to start a whole YouTube channel. Like, inspired. So, today I want to talk about those four agreements and some things that maybe we don't really think about until you've actually had a revelation for your own situation. So, here we are. And let's first talk about the whole four agreements, all right? So, the whole book is talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. Four things that we need to agree within ourselves in order to make us better people and more apt to do different things. And for me, I had a lot of things that I didn't realize that I made agreements with. A lot of things from my past, a lot of things that are occurring right now in my present, and this book is helping me to possibly prevent that in my future. So here we are. Let's go through it and let's just kind of get excited about it. And I want everyone get a copy. I got my copy on Amazon for $6. $6 and some change. So for knowledge like that, why not pay $6? I mean, we perish for the lack of knowledge anyway, so get you some. Like, just get you some. So, back to my glasses. So, dear you, the first thing we want to talk about is his very first agreement that says, be impeccable with your word. You guys, you have no idea how that one little agreement has changed my entire life and my entire way of just being. So after reading that chapter and initially going through it, okay, I was a little thrown by Ruiz because let's put it out there. One, I am a Jesus loving Christian. Like I'm that girl. However, based on that, also with my background in religious studies, you need to be open. You have to be able to hear other points of views and then bring them all collectively because the God we serve is great. So why couldn't he? Right. So with that being said, be impeccable with your word. Life changing. It may not seem like it, but once you get the book and you read it, you'll understand what I mean. In this, he is talking about the simple notion of, let's hear it, quit lying to yourself. Quit lying to yourself. Stop telling lies to yourself. Oh my gosh. And you do not know how many lies you have actually told to yourself until you get ready to break down every single thought process, every single pattern, every single idea that you have with yourself. And so I'm just going to read what it says. It says, speak with integrity, say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip with others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. You guys, simple breakdown, but the way he broke down the word impeccable and took it all the way back to its origin, it simply means to speak without sin. And me, I could parallel this to biblical scripture. Like, you hold the power of life and death. The power of life and death in your tongue. So you have to be impeccable with your word. There's no need to lie to yourself about things that you've done in the past. If you did it, you did it. You can't change that, but you have the power to speak your own future, the power to speak your own future. So give life to your words. Stop gossiping. That is another major thing that we don't realize that we do. A lot of times that we sit up and we talk to our friends and we be like, girl, I got some tea. And trust me, you'd be like, you got that tea? Yes. That is gossiping at its finest because we don't know any other way to communicate. We don't know how to just be uplifting all the way around. And if we can't speak truth, love, and light to people, then we have a tendency to just gossip about it. And sometimes even when it doesn't affect you, you don't realize that it may affect the person that you're giving that gossip to. It may affect the person that hears the gossip after you. Just because you and your bestie, your BFF, your friend can gossip and it not go anywhere, it doesn't matter. You've already put that out into the atmosphere. You spoke it. And your words have power. And they have a frequency like no other. So when you speak it, it is so. And it goes forth. And it keeps going. And it keeps going. And it keeps going. So stop it. Just by being impeccable with your word. Story about myself is I bought into a whole lot of things about myself in my past. Like, I did not speak truth, love, or light to my own self. There was a lot of things that I accepted from people. Disrespect, ideas of, we'll just say and not just say. We'll talk about infidelity. We'll talk about all of that. And those were things that I spoke to myself that it was okay. But in actuality, if I'm impeccable with my word, hurts. It's not things that you really want to subject yourself to, but we do all the time because we're not being honest with ourselves. We don't speak love and light to our own selves. I can speak highly of my best friend all day, every day. I can tell her how great she is, how wonderful she is, how inspirational she is, how beautiful she is, how gorgeous she is. I can say all of those things to her. However, I can't speak the same things about myself. So we have almost a codependency on other people to lift us up, when actuality, we just need to look in the mirror and say, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're ambitious, you're outgoing, you can do this. So this is my proof right here in YouTube that I can do this. There's no need for me to be afraid of others' comments or views of me, because at the end of the day, I have to be truthful with myself. So always, always, always be impeccable with your word. Agreement dos, número dos. And it says, don't take anything personally. Oh my God. You guys, you do not understand. I promise you do not understand how important that is. Now, I just spoke about being impeccable with your word. Try not to gossip about others. Speak love and light to others, because you don't know what they actually been through in their life. But in retrospect, don't take it personally if someone gossips about you. They don't know any better. I mean, me being biblical, Christian, the crazy thing is that this book right here is the one that literally gave me the insight, that put it in a different context, that helped me see in more of a worldly sense what they meant versus the biblical sense. Like, sometimes we have a tendency to try to separate the two, but the word is, was, and will forever be. So it's in your present. It's in your present. So first things first, don't take it personally. Literally, you have to stop agreeing. If you take something personally, literally, you agree. You just agreed. You just agreed with these people. So if somebody comes up to me and says, you know what, Morgan, you ugly. That outfit not cute on you. Like, you not cute. Boo-boo, you're not. How do I take that? Not personally. Because one, the people don't know. They don't know. So the power goes from being with them to you, that you agreed with it. And so you gave them some power that they didn't necessarily get. I'm not going to do that. I am learning. Like, this book is a work in action every single day. Like, I'm learning not to do that. Learning. Like, learning. Almost so much it's like talking to my 4-year-old son. Jackson, I love him. And I asked him a simple question yesterday. I said, Jackson, am I the best mommy in the world? And my little 4-year-old says, thumbs down, mommy. You guys, if I took what my 4-year-old said personally, I would literally be shut up in a room somewhere crying my eyes out. Because that's feelings. Like, you want to be the best at what you are. That'll take me to another point in this book. But I can't take it personally. When people talk about me or gossip about me or say things like, oh, you know what? You can't do that. That's you. No. I decide that I can't agree with that. And just another little story. I agreed to the fact, now, so crazy, I am a praise and worship leader. Like, I sing. I love to sing. Like, love to sing. Love to sing, okay? And I agreed with other people's perceptions of me. Like, the idea that I couldn't hear notes and sounds and understand lyrics or sing from a place that's personal to me. And that's not true. Not true. I have to stop agreeing to everybody else's perceptions of me. If I don't do that, then I end up in this cycle of over and over again of believing and almost resting in that. I limit my own self because I agree with Tom, Dick, Harry, Sue, and Jane. Sorry, can't do it, not gonna do it. So you gotta be extra careful about what you take in. If it's not love, if it's not light, give it back to them. And the way you give it back to them is simply by not agreeing. Easiest way to give it back. You can't argue with a brick wall. Sorry. Can't argue with somebody who's not arguing back. So if somebody says, you're ugly, I can look just like this. I don't agree. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, I don't agree. Okay? If someone says you're stupid, if someone calls me out my name and say you a B, you a H, yeah, that would be my face, because I don't agree. I don't agree. So, one, be impeccable with your word. Speak love and life to self. To self first, and then you can speak love and life to everybody else. Self first. Number two, don't take it personally. Be a duck in water. Don't take anything personally. Número tres, okay? And it says, don't make assumptions. If this is not for me, you guys, I thought the first agreement blew my mind. The third agreement took me over the mountain, through the moon, back through the trees, and here I am. You guys, do you know how many times I have made assumptions about how people feel, how they will react towards me, what they think about me? How should I feel about what they think? Like, we have a million questions that go on in our heads about people, just in general, just about people, what they think, how they feel, in all retrospect to whom? Yourself. You're trying to make agreements with people that probably is not even paying you any attention. None. So we have to stop making assumptions. OMG. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. Because I make assumptions all the time. All the time. And regardless of If you think it's an assumption, you're also making sideways judgments. We have to stop doing that too. We don't need to do that. Don't make assumptions about things that you don't know. This is the most courageous thing you can do. Ask a question. I'm sorry, did you hear me? Ask a question. If you cannot ask a question, then we have bigger problems. I'm an educator, so I encourage my students to ask questions. But when I get out in the real world, the crazy thing is that I myself can't ask people questions. Like something simple, like, was I on my right note in choir practice? Do you have an issue with me? It literally sounds confrontational, and I'm one of those people who hate confrontation. But what would be worse? Me being confrontational and just asking a question? If you think my question is confrontational, then that's a whole nother issue. That's your mind. That's something you did. But if I ask you a question and say, well, do you have an issue with me? That's just me trying to not make assumptions, because I have to, if I agree that everyone around me is being impeccable with their word and not taking things that I do personally, and if I ask a question to avoid making assumptions, literally, they should be able to answer my question without feeling like I'm being confrontational. It should be them being impeccable with their word, like I'm assuming everybody is doing, and they should say no. And if they don't have an issue with me, then I have to take them at their word, because I'm assuming they are being impeccable with it. They are telling me their truth. Now, if they're not, then by all means, I go back to agreement number 2. I can't take that personally. There's something about it that they just don't want to share with me. That's perfectly fine. But at least I got myself out of the way, and I can't make assumptions. So the next time someone who wants to gossip or not speak well of someone, I can say, well, that doesn't apply to me because they don't have an issue with me. So mind you, I am looking at myself in the mirror, because I have been trying to practice what goes on in the 4 agreements for weeks. And every day it's a start over. Every single day it's a start over. That leads me to numero cuatro. The last and final agreement is always do your best. You guys, at the end of the day, we're not perfect. We never will be. We're striving for something or a sense of perfection that helps us. And when we think we're not perfect, we go through all of these agreements and we demean ourselves. We lie to ourselves to make us feel perfect. Okay? We do that. We take things personally when we're trying to be perfect. We make assumptions when we're trying to be perfect. We do all of these things in a goal for perfection, when in actuality, all you have to do is just be your absolute best self. And if you don't know what that is, let's go back to just childlike endeavors and behaviors. I'm a nerd. Let me help you, okay? Let me help. I'm a nerd by nature, by my own recourse and design. I am a bona fide nerd. I spent most of my time in the house doing all the things that I like to do as a grown-up. Reading, singing, writing, all the things that I like to do, and that is my best self. That is when I'm my most self. So in everything that I do, I just attempt to do my best. I can't offer you much more than my best. Now, the only way that doesn't work and you hold guilt to yourself for that is if you're not doing your best. Only time. Only single time. Only single time. You're not doing your best and you hold guilt. And then you turn around and then you have to lie about doing your best. And then you have to take things personally. And then, you have to make assumptions. Don't do that. Just do your best. So, as an educator, I give my kids my best. I can't do any more, do any less. I just have to give them my best. If I don't know an answer to a question, I just don't know an answer to a question. But my best is going to say, let me find that answer for you, and then we can convene together. We can learn something together. There's all these facets. Singing with a group. Yup. It's hard. However, I can only offer them my best. And when I'm doing my best, when they critique me, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It's just them helping me be my best. And if that's my goal, I don't make assumptions when they give me helpful advice. I mean, we just have all these things. So let's go back. Numero uno, be impeccable with your word. Speak love, speak light, speak truth to yourself first, and then it spreads to others. Number two, dos. You guys, don't take anything, I mean nothing, personally. People have other things going on in their lives that does not revolve around criticizing, critiquing, and bringing you down. Note to self, everybody has a hater, but there is not an I Hate Morgan party that meets every Monday at 6 o'clock and has a party and discusses how they're going to hate on you next week. If you think that the whole world is hating on you, that goes back to you not speaking impeccably to yourself. You're lying to yourself. You're just lying to yourself. I'm sorry. It's a lie. Number three, tres. You guys, don't make assumptions. Do not make assumptions about people who you have no idea what they're going through. This just all goes back to you're your own self. You cannot make assumptions. So ask questions. Ask questions. Ask questions. It seems frightening because we have been taught to communicate differently. But if you communicate in the right way, you will not make assumptions. You will simply ask a question. It gives you better understanding and clarity. Ask a question. And last but not least, number four, cuatro, do your best. Do your absolute best. Nothing more, nothing less. Give your best self. Just give your best self. I mean, there's no other way. Because if you can speak truth to yourself, then truth is going to spread out to others. If you can stop taking things personally, then you don't easily become offended about other people's lives and their hang-ups. If you can stop making assumptions and ask questions, be courageous and ask questions, then the only thing left for you to do is do your best. And if you do your best to give love, to give light, and to speak truth, you have made the 4 agreements within yourself. We are not perfect. We're not perfect. Even when I think about the do not take things personally, it just takes me back to biblical reference of Jesus being on the cross. He prayed for them. They're screaming, crucify him, crucify him. And he prays for them and he says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." I saw it in a whole new light because of the fact that he didn't take it personally. Even in death, he didn't take it personally. He knew they didn't know any better. So, live the 4 agreements. Get the book. It'll bless you from you to read it from cover to cover. It'll be a blessing. And understand and internalize those 4 agreements. Break your old agreements. Break those old habits. Break them. Break them. Because as adults, we have a choice. I'm a millennial. I'm a millennial. So understand that we grew up with a lot of old things that we just agreed to from our parents, from loved ones, sisters, cousins, brothers, grandparents, aunties, uncles. There was a lot of stuff that we agreed to. Break them. Break them. Break all of those agreements. And decide within yourself to get to know you. So, dear you, what do you want to know about yourself?